Wanna know the recipe?
Without further ado, let's jump right into this. We bring new perspective to, what do we bring? Jupiter, the great gas giant. Did the ancient Egyptians know about Jupiter? And what is it that they knew about Jupiter? And of course, what is it that the Tswana Sotho people have to say? Or what do their languages have to say? How do they compare with the ancient Egyptian language? All right, let's jump right into it and find out. Okay, as you already know, we gave out previously the meaning of her, okay, which is the falcon. In this case, when it pertains to the planet itself, it means Hera, meaning to circumnavigate, circulate, enclose, or hedge. Alright, that's what that term means, Hera. Alright, and as we go along, we'll break down each of these associated terms describing the planet Jupiter. As you can see from the Mark Vigus dictionary, planet Jupiter here is given as Her Tash Tawi, meaning Jupiter, and Her Wepesh Tawi. This is in linguistics. Jupiter. Her Sheta Tawi, Jupiter. Same thing. Alright. But all of it is just saying Jupiter, but it is not telling you, or it's not giving you sufficient information for one to know why is it that the ancient Egyptians used different names for the same planet. What was it? What is it about these words? What are they telling us, or what are they describing, or what are they revealing, most importantly? And it is only through proper translation of these terms that one is able to uncover what the ancient Egyptians knew. Yes, unfortunately, no, it is not the Babylonians in the 7th and 8th century BC that were the first discoverers of these planets. Nope, that is not true. As some, historians, scientists, what you call them, experts, right, would like humanity to believe. The ancient Egyptians knew a whole lot more and for a lot longer about planets. All right, let's jump right into it. Okay, the first one that we have right here, Tawi, is Hera Tosha or Tosa, Tewi or Tewi, right? Tewi, Tewi. So Tosha or Tosa. Tosha or Tosa it means to draw to oneself. Okay, Tosa. To pull to oneself. So this is in reference to the gravitational pull that the planet Jupiter has. Okay, Tosa. Right? We didn't have a word for gravitation. Now we have it in our language, tosa, meaning gravitation, or a pull towards oneself, or a pull towards an object. All right, tosa, tewi, tewi meaning a stratum or a foundation, or that which has been established firmly, a firm establishment, right? A firm foundation, right? So the ancient Egyptians never saw the earth as just simply, the earth. They saw it as a foundation, meaning that underneath the surface that we walk on, there is something that has been established there, and then you have the top surface that is covering that foundation, right, in the form of sand, soil, whatever, trees, and then of course us walking on it. So they called it tewi or tei, right, or teo, which means foundation or a stratum. Okay, so hera, tosha, or tosa, tewi, right? In this case, I'm just reading it because linguists read it, but I disagree with that reading, because this is, these are just acting as a determinative. They don't necessarily need to be read. Okay, they don't necessarily need to be read because they had the circumnavigator tells you that it is a planet. So these tewi or tewi does not necessarily have to be read. Yes, it gives us information of what the word is talking about. So circumnavigator, all right, is what it is. Circumnavigator drawing stratums to itself. Ain't that something? It is drawing stratums to itself. All right. So what is it that is known about the magnetosphere of Jupiter? Right? It says Jupiter's enormous magnetic field is 16 to 54 times more powerful as that of the Earth. It rotates with the planet and sweeps up particles that have an electric charge. Near the planet, the magnetic field traps swarms of charged particles and accelerates them to very high energies, creating intense radiation that bombards the innermost moons. Okay, so our ancestors knew, right, that this is the circumnavigator drawing to itself. If we take out the word stratum, right, because it doesn't need to be read in this. Stratum is the foundation, but it's a circumnavigator drawing to itself or pulling to itself, right? And that's exactly what Jupiter does. Right? Okay, very interesting. Next up we have Hera Upish Tawi, Wepish Tawi, Hera Upusha, or Uputa, Tewi, or Tewi, right? What does that mean? Upash, Upush, Wepesh, Uputa, Upusha. It means circumnavigator causing haboobs or storms. Haboobs, right? Haboobs, storms. And of course, it is known that towards the south, Jupiter has these storms that are, circumnavigating the planet. Right, and this the eye of the storm, the great red storm, is it rotates around the planet, Jupiter. It keeps moving around the planet. Okay, so NoopooH is to actually cause a storm or throw up dust. Okay, to throw up dust or to throw up particles, or to actually cause a swirl, right? And for dust to swirl or dust to just be thrown up and causing a storm. Right? So this is what this is describing. Hera NoopooH or NoopooH, Tewi or Tewi. All right. Next up, what do we have? This is the last one. What do we have? Hera, Sheta, Tawi. Hera Shita or Sita, Tewi or Tewi. Right? The word Shita can mean difficult, just like if you look at this word by itself, what is called Sheta, sometimes translated as mysteries, okay, but also by itself it means difficult, right? It can mean difficult. So in this case it's Shita, but Shita also means surpassing. Shita or Sita. It means, not only means difficult, but it also means excelling, surpassing, or greater than others, right? Or immense in magnitude, right? That's what Shita means, or Sita, right? Which reminds me of in the Hindu tradition, Sita. I don't know if it means the same thing. But Hera Shita, Sita, Tewi or Tewi, meaning the surpassing circumnavigator. Alright, the surpassing circumnavigator. Because our ancestors saw that the planet Jupiter was what? Was greater in magnitude or size than other planets in our solar system. Ain't that amazing? That our ancestors had so much information. Now then, don't let nobody tell you that some alien beings came and built ancient Egypt. That is all false.
Here we go. The first planet that we're going to treat is our neighbor, Mars, the red planet, which scientists have said, there was life there once. It's possible for human beings to go and inhabit Mars and things of that nature, right? What is it that the ancient Egyptians knew? All right, we're going to treat three names. Okay. The first two found in Wallace Budge's dictionary, and the third one found in the Mark Vigus dictionary. The first one being Her Desher, meaning red Horus or Mars, right? As presented by Wallace Budge. And Her Tesher, red Horus, the same thing, Mars. Okay. And the third one, Herakti or Horakti, Mars, by Mark Vigus dictionary. Okay. And then we're going to go into breaking down the actual meaning of these names. What is it that they tell us? Because these names actually have a lot of information in them, or rather, not a lot of information, but very precise information about Mars as a planetary body. All right, and you'll be surprised to learn what is it that the ancient Egyptians knew. with proper translation. All right. Linguists and historians have not delved into this area. I'm not certain if, there are some who actually know the meaning of these terms. All right. These terms, and as it pertains to the planet Mars itself, or they just simply know that when they look at these glyphs, Her Desher, it just means red Horus, because Desher means red, and then of course the assumption or the conclusion would be that, oh yeah, it's referring to the planet Mars. But the question is, what about Mars, right? Did the ancient Egyptians just see it as a red planet? That's it, right? And even this one, Tesher, the assumption that this word is the same as this, but as you will see, that is not the case. All right, these are two different words. All right, these are two different words. Yes, closely related, but they speak to different things about the planet Mars. All right, Her Tesher, red Horus. And of course this one, yes, it is sometimes articulated Heru Kuti, right, or Horakti in Western terminology. What does it actually mean? What is it about Mars? Because it is known or accepted rather that this means Heru of the horizon. Okay, but is it Heru of the horizon really? Okay, we shall find out. All right, so I give you in the beginning the first parts, the falcon meaning, and the stated or the presented hieroglyphs having the same meaning as the falcon, which is Hera in Setswana Sesotho. Hera, which means circumnavigate, circulate, enclose, or hedge. Okay, Hera, which means the same thing. All right.
And let it be known. Another name Satuna Saturn went by in Kemet is Horus. Like Osiris, Horus was explained as typifying everything good in nature, although the solar meaning of most of the mythological facts was too manifest to be entirely overlooked. The planet Mars and Jupiter and Saturn were also considered as manifestation of Horus, the red horse, the brilliant horse, Horus the bull. The New International Encyclopedia, 2nd edition, 1915 entry, Horus, page 496. The name Horus has not only been linked to Haru, pronounced Haru, the word for hawk in phonetic rendering of the Egyptian hieroglyphs, but also has been said to connote the distant one and the one who was over or above. Certainly the latter two translations may be applied to the hawk, who may have been seen to appear on the horizon and transit the sky in its flight, but might they also refer to the planets in transit. Now read this. Spirit beings do not become invisible until 0.6 west, turning counterclockwise on the circle of order. See figure 6 in part 2 of this volume. All gods and goddesses such as the sun, earth, and moon are bird-like by nature in the sense that they are in flight or in the air at all times. It is a matter of fact that spirit beings are bird-like and air-like, and that the universe or world soul is all life, light, and energies, including all spirit beings in the universe at any given time, and is the order of the universe and creator and controller of the universe, together with the laws and cycles of nature. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Nature, Book 1, page 197 in part. Listen to Satuna's reason. The solar disk on Heru's head stand for the suns, and the snake stood for 6 ether poison. Plus, we could do good or evil according to our will. Listen to reason. Moreover, the opposite, the circle and the line powers of wood power was one reason the pharaohs of Egypt will head get crowned of Uranus decorated with the sun disk round this circle, and the serpent, the Haji, curved a straight line. These united but opposite powers are also symbolized by the Ethiopian Egyptian Ankh of ancient times. Another reason is, like all original gods and goddesses of the universe, the Ennead, okay, the sun and his 8 planet wives. One of the attributes of the sun god is the serpent, the whip of the Uranus, as explained in Introduction Book 1 of the Science Noon, written by Afro-Unu, as this book is too. Still another reason why the pharaohs of Sudan, Egypt, Ethiopia, in Africa wore the Uranus, the sun disk, and serpent crown is this. It was a sign of fearful and fearlessness, powers, godhood, priesthood, kinghood, sovereignty, and ability and capacity to do good or evil, like all the original gods and goddesses of eternal nature. Let it be remembered always, and let it be known. Nature and Nature, Book 2, page 23. This is a picture of Horus, or Heru, or Hope. Jupiter Amun, adored as the Siwa oasis in Egypt, a Roman version of the ruler of the gods. Amun, Ra, the sun god who brings the sun across the sky with his sun bars. He travels the heavens and underworld with the help of other gods who protect him from the attacks of the cosmic serpent Apep. The cosmic serpent, or Apep, is 6 ether, okay, or those negative death energies of Zupu. All right, that's what that snake represent, and it being curly up under the boat of Ra is those magnetic gamma waves that flows out, that kills and poison everything. Okay, that's what they were talking about with Isis poisoning Ra, but really that was the Zupu energies coming out of the sun. All right, he wasn't poisoned by that. Story is symbolic. He is represented by a man with a hawk head carrying an ankh and scepter. He wears a headgear with a serpent and sun disk that represent protection and rebirth. He is popular with the symbol of the Eye of Ra, which is female counterpart. The sun is a perfect symbol of life, death, and resurrection. A newborn child at dawn and a dying entity at dawn to be reborn again at sunrise. Ra Harakti, a combination god of Horus and Ra. The name translates to Horus of the horizon and is represented by a man with a hawk head adorned with a crown decorated with a sun disk that represent Ra. Listen to reasons of Satuna and Jutar collectively. The word Ra Harakti was myself, Jutar, and Satuna, Saturn, titles merged together in ancient times. We are mentioned throughout 9 signs. Let us show you. This is the cover of the Bible Interpretation, Book 1, 1977. And you can see the word Rakapata, which is a little different than here, Ra Harakti. We, Saturn, and our Jupiter, Jutar, are shown are those who care as the mothers we are, including the 7 orbs. We, Saturn, and myself, named Afro-Unu back then. Amun Re is also one of my Jutar, Jupiter titles. Re and Ak means hidden, and sun and gas is Ak, spirit, in the hieroglyphs. And Satuna is the Harak sound in Ra Harak, Ak, a Pata. That becomes Horus in English. Okay? Just as there are forces that can foretell the future, there are also forces that can retrace the past. And Amenubi Rakapata, writer of Bible interpretation and explanation, has access to all forces necessary to retrace and foretell, and this fact made these booklets possible. 1. Authorized and appointed by the force of nature, is given connection and access to powers of the sun and moon and powers of planet Earth, that he may take his place in the sun, meaning in universal affairs, and all his kind who are able to learn, understand, and accept universal knowledge and facts as disclosed by 9 ether, will also be given the same connection and powers for realization and maintenance of liberty, justice, equality, rightness, and survival beyond Armageddon, the war of showdown between right and wrong. Bible Interpretation and Explanation, Book 2, number 5. Universal knowledge informs us about the governing codes and cycles of all existing and living beings and kinds of spirit forces, and the ones that are for or against whom. Real universal knowledge must answer the knowledge questions: when, where, what, who, how, why, and nature of, and that is whom a thing is for or against. Amenubi Rakapata, the writer of booklets entitled Bible Interpretation and Explanation, is qualified by the forces of nature, the orbs, to receive and disclose universal knowledge, unveil the past, emphasize the present, and blueprint the future. What NoopooH writes is meant to destroy the barriers between woolly-haired people and their spiritual science and heritage in general. Universal forces cannot beneficially and effectively work for us and with us as long as so many of our minds, are so negative, because negative mind attracts negative forces, and those negative forces destroy us and cause us to destroy ourselves. Then we need positive mentality to offset the negative. Then we will have the brain power necessary to identify ourselves with universal forces, and they will help us to liberty, equality, and justice. The beginning letter of ether was A instead of E in ancient times. NoopooH is able to distinguish between that which is for Ethiopians and that which is against him and her. Bible interpretation and explanation, book 2, number 12 in part. Liberation for people or a kind comes collectively for all and not individually, because one is not really free until all his kind are free. However, as stated elsewhere, where in this booklet, NoopooH writer booklet is entitled Bible Interpretation and Explanation, offers a do-it-yourself solution to the problems of achieving liberty and equality for ourselves, and to all of us woolly-haired people can get strong enough mentally to do what we must do for our liberty and equality together. The do-it-yourself solution means every woolly-haired person who desires liberty and equality can liberate his or her mind from the grave of gullibility and the prison of ignorance by facing and accepting facts and knowledge is outlined in these booklets called Bible Interpretation and Explanation. Once a person's mind is liberated, he or she will do things right that lead to liberation of the physical body. Once the captive's mind becomes equal to that of the captive is not a captive anymore, because he will do things equal to that of the will-be captive. Bible Interpretation and Explanation, book 2, number 53. Listen to reason. Ethiopians have 3 captives: spirit beings, ignorance, and mankind. The great Sphinx at Giza, Egypt, and Africa. Some leading adherents like priests and nuns of King Amenubi, the reincarnation of the sun god Ra, were required to maintain celibacy, abstinence from marriage, and sexual pleasure similar to that of the Roman Catholic priests and nuns of today at this writing. Abstinence from sexual pleasure for the sake of morality and public well-being. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Side note, King Amenubi was blessed with 2 orb mental contacts, meaning myself, Jutar, and Saturn, plus a 6 ether spirit being. Here's the proof. Or pertaining to a Mongolian by race, Eve the nuns, now having powerful sex urges all the time because of the potent sex stimulus, persuaded Adam, the priest, to have sexual intercourse with them by giving the priest the same kind of sex stimulus in their food which they, the nuns, were using. In their diets and exposing their feminine curves, Adam did participate with Eve in the carnal knowledge of the tree of good and evil, which was forbidden by the celibacy commandments of the sun god Ra. King Amenubi, who was the reincarnation of the god Ra, knew what had occurred by spirit and mental telepathy, as well as having been told, and he did visit the temples of Ptah, the father of all, for verification and confirmation. King Amenubi and many of his Sabian's helpers were members of the Ethiopian race. Let it be remembered. Nature, book 2, pages 128 to 129 in part. The sun god Amun-Ra, Ra, was replaced by the god Horus as the celestial firepower, and thereby one of the mountains of Moses was called Hor, meaning mountain of the sun. The sun god Horus is the mythological son of Osiris, Pluto, according to legend. Therefore, the sun god Ra of the Ethiopian race had to fade into the background and become known as Horus, the son of Osiris, because the moon god Sin, Mercury, the traditional messenger of the gods, had taken over spiritual leadership for the first 4,000 years of the moon cycle, and Osiris, who was active alongside the moon god, took over spirit leadership for the last 2,000 years of the moon cycle. Spirit beings can be tricky and elusive. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Nature, book 1, 131 in part. Listen to reason. No, this book 2. Listen to reason. This was the beginning of the moon cycle in 4038 BCE. Our, myself, Jutar, Jupiter, and Saturn's Saturn sun cycle was coming to an end. Sister wife Mary Mercury used Tahuti as her spiritual mouthpiece to direct what should take place for the next 6,000 years. So Saturn, Saturn, and I, Jutar, had to comply until February 5th, 1962. The mystery is you all thought that all the sun gods that are male were actually female planets unless specified like it is in this science Noon by Afra Unu, who is alive and well in Africa and is 11 years old at this time. Let this be known. Stay tuned for more parts. True Mythic Cosmic Peace in wartime.